Hi, and welcome to the Men on the Path to Love podcast, the Love Language episode. I'm Bill Simpson, your host. I coach men who are struggling in relationship to help them communicate effectively, build trust, and deepen intimacy so that they can be the best version of themselves in relationship and live the life they love. So what do I mean when I say love language? Well, a marriage counselor by the name of Dr. Gary Chapman made an observation of his clients, and he noticed that everyone he saw had a love language, a specific way they expressed their love and how they like to receive love from others. And he came up with 5 and wrote a book called The 5 Love Languages, and here they are. Number 1, words of affirmation. Now, this means that you want your partner to tell you how much she loves you and why, especially when the words are sincere and unsolicited. Number 2 is quality time. You feel really loved when your partner gives you their time and undivided attention. Number 3, receiving gifts. You love receiving gifts, especially well thought out and meaningful gifts. You appreciate the effort that's put into it. Number 4 is acts of service. You love it when your partner offers to do something for you. And the last one, number 5, physical touch. You feel loved when your partner shows you physical affection. Tender touches, holding hands, hugs, that kind of thing. And this is not just touching in a sensual or sexual way. In thinking about my preferred love language, I want to say all of the above, right? Yet I'd say that words of affirmation and physical touch rank up at the top. I know one of my wife's love languages is words of affirmation. She not only appreciates my words of affirmation, she loves it when I share a song that expresses how I feel about her. For me, sometimes I have a hard time putting into words what's in my heart. And when I hear a song that nails it, I share it with my wife. And to see the look in her eyes when I do share just opens my heart even more. And it's a beautiful thing. So I imagine there are many variations of love language. And I think the most important thing about love languages is knowing your spouse's or partner's love language and that your spouse or partner knows yours and express your love accordingly. Now, it's all good and well if you show your love by buying her flowers because that's what you think you should do. But if that doesn't work or doesn't connect with her love language, it could land flat. You end up thinking that she's ungrateful and she doesn't feel seen because that's not her love language. And imagine how much better it would be if you express your love the way she likes to receive it. I had a female client, I'll call her Sandra, not her real name. Her fiancé was very generous, and he would often buy her expensive sneakers and clothes from a designer that he liked, spending hundreds of dollars. And she said that she loved getting gifts and was appreciative and didn't want to seem petty, yet with the amount of money he spent, she said that she would have preferred a Chanel handbag instead. And my advice to her was, you've got to tell him what you prefer. Now, another classic example is from a client, I'll call him Derek, not his real name. He was a huge basketball fan, right? His partner, Danielle, not her real name, would go to some games with him, but she wasn't a big basketball fan. Now, Derek was able to get an amazing deal on a pair of courtside tickets for a Sixers game. Still paid a lot of money for them. And he decided he would surprise her with the tickets for her birthday. Well, you know what's coming, right? The morning of her birthday, Derek was so excited and couldn't wait to give her the tickets. Danielle sensed his excitement and was eager to open the card. She loved the card, and then she saw the tickets as he yelled, "Surprise! Courtside tickets, baby!" Well, needless to say, she was not excited. In fact, she was very disappointed and pissed off. And Derek could tell by the look on her face. You see, Danielle's preferred love language was indeed receiving gifts, and he got that part right. But the key here is thoughtful and meaningful gifts. It was meaningful to him, but not to her. She didn't feel seen or loved because he was thinking more about himself and not what she really wanted. They ended up arguing, and Daniel's birthday celebration was a flop. Well, once Derek and I talked about understanding Danielle's preferred love language and what gifts were meaningful to her, he got it. He went home and had a heart-to-heart talk with Danielle, and he was able to get a clear understanding of what kind of gifts she preferred. And in turn, he was able to share his love language of acts of service. He loves it when she cooks his favorite meals. So you can see how important it can be to communicate with each other your love languages. And of course, it's great when your spouse or partner can speak our love language without us having to tell them, right? Well, we also should be mindful not to fall into the trap of expectations. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, I shouldn't have to tell him. He should just know. Well, how do you expect me to just know when you haven't shared what you want or works for you? So I invite you to take the time to seriously think about what your love language is and explore with your spouse or partner what their love language is. I guarantee you will be appreciated. Be open with each other and get on the same page. Then practice speaking each other's love language and get your love on. In the words of Gary Chapman, the author of The 5 Love Languages, he says, your emotional love language and the language of your spouse or partner may be as different as Chinese from English. No matter how hard you try to express love in English, if your spouse understands only Chinese, you will never understand how to love each other. So become fluent in your lover's love language, and you will be on the path to love and to living the life you love. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Men on the Path to Love podcast, the Love Language episode. I'm Bill Simpson. Thank you for taking the time to listen. So here's a question for you. How would you like to have the most amazing sex ever? I thought that would get your attention. Please join me for the next episode of the Men on the Path to Love podcast, the Let's Talk About Sex Part 2 episode, where I talk about how being mindful in the bedroom can turn the heat way up. And remember, if you have any questions or any relationship issues you need help with, comments about the podcast, or just want to be on my email list, please email me at bill@pathways-to-livingwell.com. That's bill@pathways, plural, to-livingwell.com. And if you know someone who could benefit from listening to this podcast, please share the link and share the love. And until next time, keep your heart open and stay on the path to love.